What?
Tough, get over here, we got a live one!
Now, I was pretty young when I first saw Aliens, and there are some scary bits in that movie. Of all of them, for some reason, when I was a kid, that bit you just saw really made me jump. And I can remember being little and watching it, and every time they got to that woman, I knew what was going to happen. I'd seen the film a dozen times, and still, when she opens her eyes and the music kicks in, I always got a bit of a jump out of it. So that bit's always stuck with me since I was a kid. Now, I'm showing you it because you might get a nostalgic feeling as well, but also because the next book we're about to read has similar sort of vibes to that. I remember watching that and thinking, what must it be like to be trapped there and, unable to escape, and knowing that you've been implanted and something's about to come bursting out of your chest. Well, in the book we're about to read next, which is Aliens Labyrinth, that's kind of tied in with it. Although rather than just the aliens tying people up and using them as hosts, this time we have a sinister doctor conducting sinister experiments, but in the same way using people as an incubator, as an experiment to bring something ghastly about. So if you've not heard of this book before, Aliens Labyrinth, it's written by S.D. Perry, who also wrote Berserker, which quite a lot of people have enjoyed. And so I've just started recording that one now, and that will be the next book starting at the end of this month when our current Predator book has finished. Now, I've started reading it already. I'm sort of ahead of myself, recording and uploading to YouTube. And I was pleasantly surprised that when I got to about the third or fourth chapter, I was reading the book and going, I've seen this before. I remember what she's talking about here. And that's because just like some of the other things we've read, like the Aliens versus Predator books, S.D. Perry was adapting some of the Dark Horse comics that had already been released. However, in this one, she's quite cleverly blended the Labyrinth story from Dark Horse comics, but also used something else that was in the Aliens magazine, which until I read this, I completely forgot that it existed. So I think it was a UK release. Whether it was released in the US or elsewhere, I don't know. But for nostalgia's sake, here was the front cover, and you might recognise it. Just look at the great artwork on that. I can't remember buying this from a shop, but I imagine I must have been super excited when I saw that in there. And you can see the date on there, which is September 1993. So just what a great time. I wouldn't have got that in a comic book store because there weren't comic book stores near me when I was growing up, or at least I didn't go to them. So this would have been something I would have found in the newsagent, just a newspaper shop. And I'm sure I'd have been super excited to find it. Great image on there. And if you look carefully at it, you can see that character on the front has the name Crespi. And Crespi is the name of the character in Aliens Labyrinth, that book we're going to be reading. Now, personally, I'd completely forgotten that existed, but there was a story I remember reading in it called Backsplash. And so what Perry's done in this novel is she's placed the lead character from this Labyrinth story as one of the people that was in that story as well. So it's quite a cool blending of a Dark Horse comic as well as a standard sort of comic that was the Aliens comic, which was, I think, a weekly or a monthly release in the 90s. I'm just going to show you a couple of scenes from that Backsplash story because, again, I read it when I was young and it really stuck with me, some of the gruesome deaths that took place within it. So here's a grab from the actual comic. And as you can see, it's some pretty brutal stuff. It's about some Marines that have gone into a cave to fight some Xenos, and basically it all goes wrong. And again, that's in this new novel, Labyrinth, that we're reading, alongside some of the stuff from the original Dark Horse comic version of the Labyrinth. With all that in mind then, the next story, of course, is Labyrinth. So that's got about 31 chapters within it. That's coming up next. If you liked Berserker or you like any of the other S.D. Perry stuff, I'm sure you'll like Labyrinth. Quite a dark story, but with some good action bits in there as well. The first of the Predator Omnibus books will be wrapping up soon. So we've read Concrete Jungle, or that will be just finishing soon by the time you see this. The next one along is Cold War. So people have really enjoyed the Predator story. I do want to do some more. However, I still love Prey. And I've been saying for ages now that every time people comment on Prey, which was the first book that we did on this channel, I always think, I wish I'd done a better job. Of course, that first book was just an iPad recording. The audio is pretty poor on it. I didn't have any technique for what I was trying to do. I think with this new audio, it's a lot better. So actually, I've got 3 books in a row coming up now. I'm going to do Aliens Labyrinth. I'm going to redo Prey because I really want that to be better for anyone who wants to listen to it on this channel. If you discover other books and then decide I'd like to read the Noguchi trilogy, I imagine the quality of Prey at the moment might put you off listening to it, and then you'd miss out on like the best story. So I'm redoing that, and then I'll go back to Predator Cold War, which is the next Predator book in this trilogy. Final thing then, please do comment, please do let me know what you'd like to see. Some of the books I've read so far that have gone down really well have been down to requests from viewers, listeners in the comment section. I read every comment, I reply to every comment, so if you've got some good ideas, let me know what you'd like to see, and hopefully after these 3 are done, that's something I can have a look at. Thanks for listening, and thanks for staying with us.
Flamethrower, move!